In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 college football games happening on September 9, 2023 and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games. So 2 picks for each game, 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 college football games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Kent State versus Arkansas. Arkansas had a blowout win in their opener and looked to move to 2-0 on the young season, hosting a Kent State team that was blown out in their first game. Kent State did not get off to a good start of the season, getting crushed by Central Florida. The team was 5-7 last season and are massive road underdogs in this non-conference affair. The Golden Flashes may be in for a tough season, and it did not start well with a bad loss as well as being on the first of ESPN's bottom 10 list. Arkansas had no problems in their opener, laying a beatdown on Western Carolina. The team finished 7-6 last season in the killer Southeastern Conference, where their first 4 games in the conference this season are all facing ranked teams. Arkansas expects to be competitive in a loaded Southeastern Conference West, while Kent State is one of the worst teams in the football championship subdivision. This one should get ugly in a hurry. Here are some things to know about Kent State. Their head coach was raided by Deion Sanders in Colorado in the offseason, and then most of the roster hit the transfer portal. The Golden Flashes returned 0 starters on offense and only 3 or 4 on defense. Last week, they gave up a whopping 723 yards to UCF, and their offense may have actually been worse, completing only 12 of 32 pass attempts. I'm not trying to be mean or pile on. I'm just saying that these are not things that are likely to just be easily corrected between week 1 and week 2. This team is genuinely bad, and it is going to be a tough day for them in Fayetteville. The Razorbacks looked strong in week 1, churning out 56 points, 35 of them before halftime. KJ Jefferson is healthy, and even with a young receiving core, he is set to put up a ton of points. And this offensive still has a dominant rushing attack. While the defense still has some question marks, it is hard to imagine that Kent State is going to expose that. The Razorbacks played well offensively in their first game and didn't have any trouble moving the ball through the air or on the ground in a game they dominated from the opening kick. They are facing a Kent State team that didn't play well defensively in their last game, giving up more than 700 total yards in the loss. The Golden Flashes basically have a brand new team with a new coaching staff, so it's going to take them some time to gel. They gave up over 300 yards through the air and gave up close to 400 rushing yards in the game, so expect them to have a hard time slowing down an Arkansas team that is more talented offensively on Saturday. The Golden Flashes also struggled offensively in their loss, finishing the game with 6 points. They didn't throw the ball well and averaged less than 3 yards per carry on the ground. They were also careless with the ball, turning it over twice in the game. The Razorbacks did a great job defending the pass and run in their first game and also did a good job forcing turnovers in the win, finishing the game with 5 takeaways, so expect them to keep Kent State's offense in check. Arkansas won their season opener in a blowout while Kent State was crushed in their season opener. The Razorbacks did not outgain their opponent by that many yards but forced 5 turnovers and did not have any. Look for them to rack up the yards in this game facing a Kent State team that gave up 723 yards in their first game. I look for Arkansas to have a ton of rushing yards and score early and often. They covered the spread as a 38-point favorite, and they will cover the 38.5-point spread again against a weak Golden Flashes team that is well overmatched. I do not expect Kent State to put up much of a fight on offense, so the Arkansas Razorbacks to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Even though the Razorbacks did a good job defensively in their first game, they did give up 13 points at home to a team that isn't as good as Kent State, so expect the Golden Flashes to score double digits in this game. The Razorbacks scored 56 points in their first game and didn't put up big numbers offensively because their defense had 5 takeaways. They threw the ball well in the win, and they're facing a team that gave up over 300 passing yards and 56 points in their first game. The total for this non-conference game is 58 points, and Arkansas scored 56 points in their opener. And that is how many points Kent State gave up. The Golden Flashes were torched on defense, giving up 723 yards in their first game, including nearly 400 rushing yards. I look for the Razorbacks to run early and often racking up the yards and the points. They may not force 5 turnovers like they did in their last game, but they will have many more yards and keep Kent State from scoring many points. However, for the second week in a row, Arkansas will light up the scoreboard. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. UCF versus Boise State. We've got a really good Week 2 matchup in Idaho as the Boise State Broncos host the University of Central Florida Knights. Boise State of the Mountain West Conference lost their opener to number 10 Washington, while UCF of the Big 12 is 1-0 after blowing out Kent State. These two teams met in 2021 and UCF won 36-21, but Boise State covered as 5.5-point underdogs. Boise State did not look good in the opener, and while the Broncos at home have been a tough team to pass up points with, I think Bush Hamdan as offensive coordinator is going to be more of a liability for Boise State's offense than an asset this year. UCF throttled Kent State in the opener, and while the Mid-American Conference is expected to be one of, if not the worst conference in college football this season, Boise State's not looking much better out of the gate, and I think we could see another dominant showing from UCF here. So the UCF Knights to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Both of these offenses have veteran quarterbacks and are well-oiled machines. Meanwhile, Boise State's defense had a hard time stopping Washington, and while UCF is not on the same level, they have a potent offense and should put up multiple scores against Boise State. It is hard to get a read on UCF's defense since they played a lesser opponent last week, but I'm trusting the Boise State offense to match UCF touchdown for touchdown. If you like offense, you will like this game. I see a high-scoring game that could come down to the final possession. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. Stanford versus Southern California. In a West Coast battle, the Stanford Cardinal and the number 6 USC Trojans will go head-to-head on Saturday in the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. Stanford won their first game of the season against Hawaii, while USC dominated their first two opponents in Nevada and San Jose State as they look to compete for a playoff spot. The Trojans are 2-0 straight up and have scored 122 points on the shoulders of Heisman quarterback Caleb Williams, who has thrown for 597 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions with a 73.5% completion percentage across 2 games. They come into this contest after covering as 38-point favorites against Nevada and outgaining the Wolfpack by more than 300 yards while averaging 10.8 yards per rush and 13.3 yards per pass. Williams and the Trojans figure to have another significant advantage offensively against Stanford this week, given the fact that the Cardinal yielded 355 yards and 3 touchdowns to Hawaii's Braden Shager in Week 1, and he had finished 96th in PFF's passing grade among qualified quarterbacks last season. I expect Williams to have his way against a secondary that returns very little starting experience, and for Stanford's defensive line to be overmatched against the size of USC's offensive line and the physicality of the Trojans' top 3 running backs, all of whom have scored and averaged more than 7 yards per carry. The Trojans possess great depth at almost every position on both sides of the ball. The Cardinal will struggle to contain Caleb Williams and USC's powerful offense. Last year, USC beat Stanford 41-28 as a 9.5-point road fave. The Trojans are only 3-6 against the spread in their previous 9 encounters with Stanford, but they are also 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 outings in September and 6-2 against the spread in their previous 8 showings in Week 2. On the other side, the Cardinal are 1-6 against the spread in their last 7 games overall, 2-8 against the spread in their previous 10 outings on the road, and 0-5 against the spread in their last 5 dates with the Pac-12. The Trojans should have another 50-plus point performance in this matchup, and I am struggling to find any confidence in Stanford's ability to score enough to finish inside the number with a head coach leading in Football Bowl subdivision team for the first time and a true sophomore quarterback leading an offense that ranks 129th out of 133 in returning production. The Trojans' run defense might be their biggest flaw, and I think Stanford doesn't have enough firepower to take full advantage of it. So the USC Trojans to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Although the Cardinals run D dominated in Week 1, their passing defense didn't impress and will have an impossible task to slow down Caleb Williams and USC's receiving core. The total has gone over in 6 of the last 7 meetings between Stanford and USC. Also, the over is 4-1 in Stanford's previous 5 contests overall and 10-0 in USC's last 10. The Trojans have scored 55 or more points in 3 of their last 4 outings at home. Caleb Williams is almost a lock to be the number 1 pick in next year's NFL draft, draft barring something drastic, and USC has brought back the majority of their offense back. Stanford had one of the worst defenses in the conference last year, and these two teams have totaled 65-plus points in their last 3 games against each other. With that in mind, USC only scored 41, 28, and 45 points in those games. I expect them to score at least 50 points in this one. USC has averaged 61 points per game in their first 2 games of the season, and I don't see any reason why they can't score 55-plus in this game as well. The Trojans' offense looks unstoppable. USC could easily hit a 60-point mark once more. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.